Hello and welcome to this video tutorial from Computergaga.com, and in this video we are going to look at how to use the split function in Excel VBA. Now the purpose of the split function is to split a string into multiple substrings by a delimiter, such as a space or a semicolon. And those substrings are returned as a one-dimensional array, which we can then continue to analyze in our macro. The split function accepts four arguments: the expression, the delimiter, the limit, and the compare value. But the first one is the only one that is mandatory. And in this video, we're going to see two examples of why the split function might be beneficial to you and why you might have a use for it. The expression is the text to split. The delimiter is the delimiter to specify. It is optional. If you do not specify one, it will use a space, which is what I'll be demonstrating in the first example. We then have the option of a limit, where we could limit the amount of substrings to return. We can enter a value such as 4, and doesn't matter how many delimiters there may be, it will only return 4 substrings. And then a comparison value, where we can specify whether we want a binary, database or text comparison. So let's get on and see the split function in use. So in the first example, I want to use this function to find how many words are written in a cell. So I've got 5 rows here of text, and I want in column B to know how many words are written. Now this task can be accomplished with a formula, and I've done a video on that in the past. We can also achieve it with Power Query quite easily. But let's imagine that this might be part of a larger macro, so we want to use VBA for the task. So let me switch to the Visual Basic editor and create a sub-procedure in here. I'm going to create a whole thing from scratch, but I might go quite fast. So if you're quite new to VBA, this might be a bit speedy. Please check out a link to my VBA course in the description of this video, where you can get up to speed with topics like variables and arrays and other VBA topics real quick. I'm going to type number of words as the name of this sub and quickly declare some variables. I'm going to use a variable for the row number, so I can run through that list nice and quick. And also a variable which is going to store the array of substrings that is returned from the split function. And I'm going to call that words. 2 brackets because it's an array variable that is storing string values. I'm then going to specify 2 as the initial value for the row. And then set up a do loop, so I can loop through each row. I'm going to say do until the row number of column 1 is equal to a blank cell. Put in the end of that loop, and then make sure I've got a counter in there so that we increment the row each time. And the meaty part of this video is this. This is where we need the split function. For each row, I want to split it into different substrings and then count how many there are. So let me start with the split. I'm going to put in the words array, and into that I want it to split cells, and I'm going to give it column 1. This row, column 1. A lot of typing happening. So here you can see those arguments of the split function. I provided the expression, which is a string. It's whatever word is in the first row that I'm testing here. And I'm not going to worry about any of the other arguments. They're optional, so we don't need to. And the default delimiter, if you do not specify one, is a space. And that's what I need. So I'm going to close off another bracket for the split function there. So there's our text. Here's our split function. And now that I have that in the array, I need to count how many words are in it. And I'm going to put that into column 2. So if I say cells I, like current row, column 2 is equal to the upper bound, so U bound, really useful when working with arrays. You can get the lower bound and the upper bound values. And then I want to know of words, that's the array I'm checking. And I'm going to put +1 after it. Arrays start with a base number of 0. So if I do just a normal upper bound count here, it's going to be 1 less than how many words there really are. So I'm going to say find that upper bound value, add 1 to it, that's how many there'll be, pull it into that cell, next row. So hopefully that is making some sense. Here's the meaty part of our split function. Let's go and see it in action. If I just minimize the editor, back to Excel, and maybe in our macros window, if I go to run this code, that returns how many words are in each cell by using split function. That's example number 1. Let's look at another demonstration of where it might be useful. In this example, I want to use the split function to retrieve the third section out of these rows of data. So you can see they are irregular strings. There's a different number of characters before the first slash and a different number in the second slash. But what I'm interested in is what happens after that third slash. They are different length of values. 3 of them are 3 characters long, 1 of them is 4 characters long. And this task would be quite awkward in a formula. It's a bit more difficult, possible, but more tricky. But let's look at once again how the split function could simplify this for us. So going into my Visual Basic code, this code is going to be quite similar to the last one. So I'm going to begin just by taking a copy of the previous macro, and I'm going to paste that underneath and just make some changes to it. So instead of calling this sub number of words, I might label it as third section. And instead of the variable for the array being words, this time I might call it parts, because maybe it's the parts of the string. I'm still keeping the variable for the rows starting from 2, the do loop, because the structure in this example is exactly the same, just to keep things simple. What will change is this bit in here. I still want to split it, but this time the array variable is called parts. And this time the split, the delimiter, is a /. So this bit's the same, still the first column, but in here I'll put a comma, which reawakens the split function, prompts me for a delimiter, and I'm going to, as a string, type that /. So I want to separate it at each slash. I don't need the last 2 optional arguments of the type of comparison or the limit. That's all I need. So now those 4 parts are in that array. And in column 2, I want to return the third section. So I don't need U bound anymore. And it's not called words, it's called parts. I don't need that. What I do need though is the third section. But an array starts from a base of 0. So the third section is actually section 2. So I'm going to return the third or the second part from that array into column 2. Just a few tweaks to it there. If I come out of here, back to the code, and I go into macros to run it, third section, click on run, and that extracts everything after that kind of second slash or that third part of the string. So that is just 2 quick examples of where the split function can come in useful when writing macros in VBA. It's one of a few functions, including worksheet functions as well, that help us extract values and test certain elements of a string or of a cell. And you may find a use for that in your day-to-day kind of VBA work. I hope you found this video useful. Please check out some of our other videos on our YouTube channel and come check us out at Computergaga.com.